Fear not, citizen. Justice will be served. You're in good hands.
The defense is wrong.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. You know what? I forgot I turned my volume off earlier because I was doing something. Now I can hear. Hi, everybody. How's it going? You know what? Is it less blurry? Like, look, you can see that there's a keyboard right there. You can actually kind of see things. I think that my camera setting was just messed up. Hi, Christina. Hey, Mustang. Simi. Sedasia? I think it's Sedasia. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Mark, Cold, good to see you. Hi, Lulu. Hi, everyone. Everyone's pulling in. Awesome. You guys, I have the cutest shirt. I know half of you are like, we don't care, get to the true crime. But it's like pants, right? And you can unzip this. And it's got pockets, but that's kind of uncomfortable because then I'm just holding my boobs. But yeah, it's just like a little crop top kind of shirt. But it's like, at first I thought it was a skirt. But yeah, it's cute. Hi, Judy. Right, Cold, isn't it? Yeah, I found it at Marshall's for like $6 or something. I don't know. Good to see everybody. Oh, there's Becky. Hi, good to see you. So is it less blurry? Like you can see a little bit more, right? I think I fixed it. Oh my goodness. Everyone's just... There's my Kel. Hi. Good to see everyone. I missed you guys last week. I'm telling you, my medication has got me feeling like shit. Like, I'll feel okay 1 hour, and then the next hour, I'll feel like absolute crap. I was even telling myself, I was like, am I even going to be able to do this show? And I was like, no, I've got to do it. I can do it. So we're going to do it. And I've got some stuff for you guys. Mustang, I know. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So we've got some things to talk about. I want to talk about some documentaries or docu-series, I guess you call them these days. Because do they even make documentaries anymore? I think they're like just docu-series at this point. But I want to talk about a couple. And no, it's not just going to be the crash. There's a couple things that I want to talk about regarding that documentary, but we're not giving that girl any more stage time because I think that she's gotten enough. She's gotten way more than she deserves. So we're not even going to go there. But the warm milk texts, a little creepy, if you ask me. So I would like y'all's opinion on those, to be honest with you. And that's really all I'm going to get into it regarding that documentary, because anything and everything has been said about it. Everyone's covered it. There's nothing else that I can really say that hasn't already been said. Let me check back at the comments. She is so full of herself. Let me see. Hello, Mullet. All right, no one new came in. So, yeah. But there are two or three I'll get there. I'll get there. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you. So I want to talk about the documentary, is it My Killer Father? Yeah, I think it's My Killer Father. Whoa. For those that haven't seen it, I'm not gonna give it away. Listen, I had higher hopes. I really did. Because I was all like, yes. I was all like, yes, we're going to get somewhere. We're going somewhere. I'm excited because for years she's been screaming about how her father killed all these people and they're in the well and this, that, and the other. But I can't really say too much more because then it'll give it away. So what we're going to do is go into the next documentary that I want to talk about, which is, and a lot of people have been getting this one confused with the one I was just talking about because that, I believe, is the green something. What is that? Do you guys know which one that one was called? Hold on, let me see. Oops. Oops. Oh Lord, I cannot type with nails. Okay, Green Hollow murders. So they're very similar. So you have the Green Hollow murders, which is that crazy woman who was going around telling everybody that her father had killed hundreds and hundreds of people and he threw them in a well, right? You guys know about that? Can you guys even hear me? Yes? Okay. So there's that one. But then you have the Fox Hollow Farm Schmurders. And this one, I wish I could show you guys previews on here without getting struck, but I don't think I can. No, Mark. No, it's a different one. Thank you, Judy. No, Mark. Fox Hollow is insane cold. Absolutely insane. And it's crazy and I was surprised that you and Kel knew about it because I was ready to give you guys the whole rundown because you literally have Dahmer, right? And then you have Gacy. But what do you get when you put the two together? You get Herb Baumeister. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this man, diabolical. Okay. So this man, they found 10,000 bone fragments and remains on his property. Let me get into, so first off, happy June 1st, everybody. I can't believe it's already here. Didn't they just have a blizzard recently somewhere? But anyways, so Herbert Richard Baumeister was born in 1947 and he died in 1996. And he was an Indianapolis businessman and a suspected serial killer linked to the schmurders of numerous men men in Indiana during the late 1980s and early 1990s. He is believed to have targeted men that he met in the Indianapolis area gay bars and brought them back to his estate, Fox Hollow Farm. At a young age, he displayed troubling behavior as a teenager, including the fascination with dead animals and other antisocial behaviors. So he was married. He had 3 children. And he was also suspected the leading suspect in the Unsolved I-70 Strangler murders. Though he was never charged with that, and the case actually remains officially unsolved to this day. He was a successful businessman, a father of 3, lived a double life while allegedly targeting men from local bars. And he basically died by suicide, which is why, and that's my theory, is this is why he's not talked about, because Dahmer was caught alive, Gacy was caught alive, all the serial killers that we talk about were caught or they were alive. This one just, and I don't even know why they let him go, but they let him go. This one ended up killing himself. And their victim identification efforts are still going on nearly 30 years later. Investigators are still identifying victims through modern DNA and genetic genealogy technologies, making Fox Hollow Farm an active investigation even decades after his death. So that one's crazy. Let me check back because I was on another screen. Mustang, he absolutely did. Hi, Junior. Good to see you. Who snuck in while I was... Of course he was married. And, it's funny because everyone's all like, how didn't, Asa Elrup not know? How did she not know? Da, 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 da. And it's like, because these men lived perfect double lives. Think about it. You've got BTK is my always number one go-to because I'm fascinated with his whole story. And then you've got Keith Jefferson. Okay, these two people lived absolutely perfect. Was it Keith Jefferson? Or was it? Yeah, I think so. But they had perfect like double lives. And what happened was Herb Baumeister's wife would take the children in the summers and go on vacation. And that's when Herb did all the things that he did. He would go out, he would meet people, he would bring them back. But there was one person that he met that was, first off, this is him. This would be Herb. I say Herb. Yeah. There was very little media. Yeah, for sure. So his dirty work. But yeah, so this is him. And this is who I believe is one of the scariest looking, pardon my French, motherfuckers I've ever seen in my entire life, okay? And you cannot convince me, allegedly, in my opinion, that this man did not help him. Why is he the only person that survived this man? And why does he look like this? And just go watch the trailer for this movie. Can one of my mods go find a trailer link and drop it, please? Oh my God. This freaking man. Okay. We'll just drop this one first. Oh, Lord. Oh my word. Let me remove myself from the screen. That is terrifying. Herb. Oh, wait. Herb, if it's a person, herb, if it's a plant, Simi. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Creepy. Okay. Okay, so it's a docu-series on Hulu and it's called Fox Hollow Farms. And thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Here's another image of this man, and I'm sorry to jump scare y'all like this. Ah, sir, why does he look like this? You cannot convince me that this man right here, and if you watch it, you'll understand why I'm saying this, okay? You cannot convince me that this man right here didn't help, allegedly, in my opinion, okay? Yeah, they do, Mustang. And Becky, I know, he is. But this is why I showed you, because now you have to go watch, right? Now you're intrigued. This is why I'm here to do this. And so this is the property, and I forgot to draw on it. So what I'll do is just explain. So this big back wooded part, the really big section of woods, is where all of his victims were, okay? That front area, that top area where you've got the little pathway, the roads, and then the house right there, that's the driveway in the front of the house. Thank you, Coco. So he had a huge estate. He had a really big farm, okay? He is deranged. He's absolutely, yeah. But this is a lot of land to cover. Imagine authorities coming to this, and sometimes a serial killer. Yeah. So imagine you're a police officer, investigator, detective, whatever, and you come to this property and you discover remains, and you keep discovering them, and you keep discovering them until you've got over 10,000 bone fragments, remains, skulls, all kinds of stuff. Now, let me see. It looks like, where is that? Oh my gosh. Hold on. I will be right back. I'll be right back because I forgot something. Don't go anywhere. Okay. So it said that they have put together at least 11 sets of victims, and they think that there are at least 25 people found on that farm. So, no, they have put together, I'm sorry, 11, I think it's 11 or 12 sets of victims, and then there are at least 25 people on that farm that they think. Catch up, catch up. Hey, Boston, good to see you. Bills, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Awesome. Thank you, Mustang. I do love them. They are great. So, yeah, he does look weird. So, that's the property. And here's some more. I want to show you the trailer, but I can't. This is one of the victims that was identified, and his name's Alan Livingston. Rest in peace, my friend. It's really sad. I'm not sure how many they were actually identified. Let's see. And this is, so what he would do is he would be like, hey, do you want to come back to my place? I've got a bar, I've got a pool, we can have drinks. And they would be like, yeah, sure, you know. And so this is where he would bring them back. Now, in these photos, the mannequins are gone, but you can see in the docuseries, the mannequins are there in the videos. This is the actual pool from one side, and then this is the pool from the other side. And so he had, I think this is after, but he had like a whole bar set up. He had weird mannequins everywhere, and the mannequins were the icing on the cake. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. They were so creepy. Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I almost want to watch it again and see what I missed the first time. Yeah. Okay. What's next? What's next? I've heard Junior, have you? Yeah, a lot of people have it, but the roads around the farm are very haunted. Yeah. Um, what did I want to do next? Where am I? Where am I? So there's that. And you guys, this isn't my picture. I just found it online. I found a bunch of other people's videos, but I couldn't find any pictures of this. Sharilla, can we please talk about these text messages? What's up with the warm milk? Now, I don't know, where did she live? She lives up north, right? Something like that. Now, I was told that it's common for them. Here we go. Now, I was told that it's common for them to drink milk and warm milk. I don't know. Okay, so I'm not suggesting anything here. You guys can in the comments if you want to. Ohio, that's what I thought. Oh Lord, some more shit in Ohio. Kel. Y'all, I got this peaches and cream. I don't know if y'all could see it. Soda, but it smells weird. I don't know. We'll try it. But it's funny how all these text messages are between her and her father, and there are none between her and her mother, right? Why? Why? Not at age 17, too. That's right. That's right. And also, Dom had sent her some texts too, talking about, well, just a month ago, you let someone F your feet. And then she asked her daddy to come in there and give her a foot rub. I don't have a father, but has any of y'all's daddies have you ever asked them to come in and give you a foot rub? I'm just curious. Warm milk, the father, foot rubs, and all of these text messages are between, I want to say, 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. And she says, shh, be quiet. So we've got text messages between her and dad between the times of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. asking for milk, which could be a code word for something, and foot rubs. Groomed. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think so. I think it is code word for something. Yep, red flag central. I think so too. So while everyone else is talking about all this other stuff and how big her bun is and all that stuff, I want to talk about this. And because we already know that she has, that little code language with her mom, something's going on with this family and it's weird. It's really weird. And I can only say alleged in my opinion. Oops, I don't know what I just did, but there's something going on in that household, and there's something that's been going on in that household. And it was also said that she was doing S work or being pimped out. I don't know. But unless it was her 20-year-old boyfriend, which I don't think so. I really don't think so. Who else could it be? Who's rubbing her feet at night? Yeah, I just, it's weird, y'all. It's really weird. So I think that family needs to be looked into, to be honest with you, because shit's weird. Oh wait, what did Lulu say? Hold on. I missed it. Where'd it go? What'd I miss? Where'd she go? Oh. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lulu. I didn't have one, so I get it. So that's all I'm gonna give any more breath and air to this girl. Like, I'm not giving her any more space because I think it's ridiculous that they let that girl be on that documentary. Why? All she does is crave attention. All she cares about is being in front of a camera at all times. This is supposed to be punishment, not rewards. And what I saw is a girl getting rewarded for whatever, because we know she hasn't been good in prison. She's got a long list of, inmate, whatever it is in there. I've never been in there, but little strikes against her of things that she's done wrong. And some of them are SA against other people in there. Like, what, girl? It's something, she needs some 39 counts. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's all she cares about. And from my understanding, she is living it up in there. She's got curling irons, she's got jewelry, she's got money on the books. She can order, there's like a menu that you can order off of. Like, you can get chicken sandwiches, you can get all kinds of stuff. Like, you don't have to eat the slop that they're giving you. Hey, Julie, it's good to see you. Yeah. Um, it's a list. Yeah, boss. It's a list. And I read it and it was ridiculous. I was like, oh my God. But so you guys want to stop hearing me talk? Let me see. One more thing before we get into this. Do you guys want me to start with Rebecca Haro's little bullshit ass plea deal, which 12 years to 8 months in 8 months in California state prison after a plea? Why are we still giving child killers plea deals? Why? I don't understand. It's not enough. It's not enough. So, do you guys want to watch that? Or do we want to start with Paul Ferguson's stuff? Let me know. Hers is shorter. I think that one's like 20 minutes. Yeah, it's not long enough at all. And if you are going to get a plea deal, it should, like, you should have to tell where the baby is. Like, please. Yeah, that's what I heard too. That she's a bully, that she's got girlfriends, like she's not sad in there. All right, so y'all want to watch Paul's first? Got you. No problem. me make sure there wasn't any more images that I wanted to show. Oh. Look at her pathetic ass face. She's so punchable. Yeah, nobody, no deal. All right. All right. Let's get into this so y'all can, I'm sure y'all are tired of hearing me talk. So let's get into this. Now, this is from what we discussed last time. You just wanted to see Paul Ferguson's sentencing. So that's what you're getting. And let me know if you can hear this or not. She is so punchable. Yeah.
All rise. Come to order. 14th Circuit Court, County of Muskegon is now in session. The Honorable Matthew R. Casel is presiding.
Thank you.
And you may be seated.
Yeah, Mustang. Look at this fool.
Before the court is filed 2235.
Becky. I can't wait to see his face again. It's so good. Like, he really didn't know.
37 FC, it's people of the state of Michigan versus Paul Ferguson. Are you Paul Ferguson, sir?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Verbally.
He's
Yes,
not
sir.
telling on his mama
Yes.
was going to do anything.
Mr. Ferguson appears before the court with his attorney, Mr. Joshua Eldon Brady. The people are represented by Mr. Matthew Roberts. Date and time is scheduled for a sentencing in this case. Had the people had a chance to read the pre-sentence report and the attached guidelines?
We have, Your Honor, we have no corrections to that, although I know the court has received a letter this morning, as we all are, from Paul's older brother. We have no objection to that being included in the
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
Any objection to? I did receive a letter from Nolan Ferguson, who was here in present for Shonda Vandermeer's sentencing. And I did receive that this morning. I didn't have a chance to read that before I came on the bench. Do you have a copy as well, Mr.
I have a copy, yes, Your Honor, and I have no objection to that either.
Okay. Also, the court is in receipt of two assessments, psychological assessments. One is from a Thomas D. Shazer, psychiatrist, forensic psychologist for Ann Arbor. It's 25 pages.
That was nasty.
That was submitted by defense counsel.
Can y'all hear that? Why can't I hear that? Let me turn my volume up. I adjusted the volume on this. Y'all, that peaches and cream soda was freaking disgusting. Stormy made the face I made when I tried pickle vodka. I probably would have liked that. I don't drink anymore, but yeah, you can hear it. Okay, good. You can hear it. Okay.
So, at the urging, I will say, of the court, asking for that, so I appreciate that, Mr. Alvin Brady. I also am in receipt of a report from a Sami Farhat, a PhD, licensed psychologist. This is a 7-page report. It's a psychological assessment as well. It was also provided by defense counsel. Court has reviewed those and
You know, Kel, what I used to like when I did drink was picklebacks. I would get what was it? I forget what kind of whiskey it was. I would get a whiskey and then I would drink it at room temperature, and then I would chase it with a shot of pickle juice. And it's so good. So good.
anticipation of sentencing. Mr. Roberts, have you received a copy of those? And Mr. Alvin Brady,
that's not
any
cool.
objection to the court reviewing those and considering those as sentencing, Mr. Roberts? Mr. Alvin Brady?
No objection, but I would ask those be considered as non-public exhibits.
Yeah, the court is going to have them scanned into the court file, but they are going to be non-public. They do contain a large amount of what I would consider very personal medical information that I don't think is appropriate to be in the public domain. The court is going to reference certain conclusory conclusions from these reports, but those do not reveal specific medical information. I think it's appropriate, so the court will make these part of the record because it's going to be consider those in sentencing, but again, it's going to be non-public. So, all right. Any additions or corrections you have with the pre-sentence report, Mr. Roberts?
Beyond that addition, no.
Okay, Mr. Alvin Brady, have you had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report and the attached guidelines?
Yes, I have no additions or corrections. I would also note, as we're on the topic of letters, I submitted a letter from Stephen and Martha Vander Ark. Those are Mr. Ferguson's, I believe those would be step-grandparents, the current placement of his younger half-brother, G. They had intended to be here in support this morning, but were ill this weekend.
Okay, yeah, I have also considered that too. Did you receive a copy of that as well, Mr. Roberts?
I did.
Okay, I've read that too. I've gotten a large number of letters from people that I would say unrelated to this case specifically, just individuals who saw it on court TV and expressing an opinion. I am not considering those in sentencing because, one, they're not directly connected to the case. And I do appreciate the comments from individuals, but I think it's important we limit the record to people who actually have something to do with this case or connected with the victim. So unless there's an objection to that, I've read them, but I'm not using it as a consideration. So any objection?
Oh, Lulu, this is Paul Ferguson. This is Shonda Vander Ark's older son that helped her basically abuse Timothy Ferguson. So this is his sentencing. And for all of those who quit drinking or don't drink, congratulations. I am 10 years sober as of last year. That's awesome. Yeah, she sucks. We just watched her sentencing or not last week, but the week before. And next week we're going to be watching her 2 new hearings, and we're officially done with the Shonda Vander Ark series. So,
Mr. Roberts and Mr. Alvin Brady.
I would note, not having seen copies of those, I can't comment on the specific letter, but no issue with that, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean, there's just random people who saw it on TV, and I just don't think it's appropriate for the court to take that into consideration for sentencing purposes. I don't think that's fair to Mr. Ferguson. So, anyway. So no additions or corrections, Mr. Alvin Brady?
No additions or corrections.
All right. And Mr. Ferguson, have you received a copy of the pre-sentence report and the attached guidelines?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any additions or corrections you have?
No, Your Honor.
And have you had an ample opportunity to discuss the contents of that report with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Roberts, do we have any victim representative who wishes to make a statement today?
We do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Any comments?
Becky, he has not. I've been checking, and there's still, I don't know what's taking him so long because we all know he's going to say no. She's not getting a new trial. If she gets a new trial, I'm raising all hell. Hi, Far. Good to see you.
Regarding sentencing.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. As I've said to the court before, this is, as it relates to Paul, this is one of the most difficult cases I think I've ever had to deal with, not just from the standpoint of how difficult the subject matter was here, the tragic death of Timothy and the circumstances surrounding it, but just with Paul himself, and I'm not saying anything today, really, that I haven't told Paul in multiple meetings that we've had in leading up to the trial and his cooperation here, that I view him as favorable in that he was willing to help us and to testify against his mother, which I'm sure was very difficult for him to do under the circumstances.
Nothing yet.
But I was also angry, just frankly angry and shocked and appalled at his treatment of Timothy, because he was, for all intents and purposes, the enforcer arm of this two-person, the two people most directly responsible for Timothy's death, that he was the one that would deal out most.
I love him with a mustache. This prosecutor has been amazing throughout this trial, and usually we see him like from the side or from the back, but I love his little mustache.
The punishments that were directed by Ms. Vander Ark, and certainly she's received the appropriate sentence for her role in this as well. So I had mixed emotions about Paul, even up to and including the time that he testified in this trial. And those, frankly, continue. One of the things that we discussed at the time of the plea was giving Mr. Elton Brady an opportunity to get the evaluations, which we now have, in an effort to hopefully demonstrate in some regard why Paul did these things. Was it a psychological condition? Was there some manipulation taking place? And quite frankly, I think, just as my feeling is there's good and bad with Paul, I think both of these assessments reflect the same thing. What is absolutely clear from both of these assessments is that whatever upbringing Paul had from his mother and frankly from his father as well led to him being how he is today. And that was a childhood that I think both reports indicate was marked with abuse and neglect, a very traumatic upbringing, moved around a lot, and what also rings through in these assessments is that nobody did anything to get Paul any help when it could have made a difference.
Yes,
so
Becky.
that is, in some respects, that's the good part of this, because it does seek to at least.
Are we purging? Is this the purge? Kane, did you come in here to see me? Oh my God. Hello. Good to see you, Mr. Kane. This must be the purge. And Nikki. Hi, Nikki. Were you wallpapering, girl? Send me a picture. I want to see.
Explain in some regard why Paul behaved the way that he did. But there's bad in here as well, and I'm sure the court will note this, but the one sentence that struck me in Dr. Shaser's report is that it says, in my opinion, Paul Ferguson was predisposed to abuse his brother independent of his mother's presence and active influence in his life. That's frankly scary. And there's other scary parts of this as well that indicate that Paul was, at least in some respect, predisposed to being essentially a bully. And that's how you could view his behavior, is that he was a bully. Now, nobody, I think, would expect any bully to take it to the extreme of actually killing a person, although certainly it does happen, but nobody would expect that was an intentional outcome that Paul sought here. And we can't lose sight of the fact that Paul didn't become this way in a vacuum, that his upbringing in some respects led to him being predisposed, as this report indicates, and I think the other report references it as well, that he was predisposed to already doing some of these things. Frankly, I think that Ms. Vander Ark took advantage of that and used Paul because she saw an opportunity to have Paul do the horrible things that she couldn't do herself or wouldn't do herself, but be done at her direction. And Paul was unfortunately willing to go along with those things because of everything that had happened to him, because of his traumatic upbringing, and because of the conditions that he did have that led to that. So it's hard to balance these things out. Certainly we did not have this report at the time that Paul pled, and I don't know that in looking at this report that the decision that was made in this case would be any different. But certainly there are things here that would have been nice to have been able to consider, but we didn't have the benefit of that. And as I told the court, I think I've told the court on several occasions in speaking to the jury, they were, in Ms. Vander Ark's case, very much impressed by, might not be the right word, but certainly factored in Paul's testimony a great deal. Believed that he was telling the truth, believed that he was honest about what his role in this and Ms. Vander Ark's role in this. So I think his testimony was instrumental in achieving the.
Hey, Gucci. Nikki, that looks awesome. I love all the little cat butts. That looks awesome. Good job.
The conviction that was achieved here against Ms. Vander Ark. So I certainly owe Paul that consideration, but beyond that, I certainly don't envy the position the court is in today. In balancing everything that has taken place here, the good and the bad, even in this report, and the good and the bad with Paul, I will stick to the agreement that we have made here. I will ask the court to sentence within the sentencing guidelines in this case. Certainly the court is obviously free to exceed the guidelines if it feels there's a basis to do so, and quite frankly, there are reasons to exceed the guidelines. In some respects, there's reasons to go below the guidelines as well. So literally, I think any number that the court chooses to pick here, I think would be the appropriate sentence, because I think it's a difficult balancing act that the court has to do here. But my commitment was and continues to be that we would ask the court to sentence within the sentencing guidelines. I would ask the court, however, to impose a maximum number here that is essentially equivalent to what Paul's life expectancy would be. And the reason for that is that if some of the bad that's indicated in these reports is actually present and Paul does not receive treatment for that, and those conditions that are noted here, most notably the potential antisocial disorder, essentially a sociopath, if those things are borne out in the prison system, that the prison system then has the opportunity to keep Paul locked up as long as possible. I hope that he can get some treatment inside there, but the bad in here has got to be addressed, and if it's not, then certainly Paul does represent a threat to the public moving forward because of his disassociation, essentially, from feeling empathy or feeling bad about the things that he had done. In the moment, it did not appear that Paul felt bad about those things. There certainly was a moment where he thought he needed to let his mother know that Timothy was very thin and that they should start feeding him. But overall, what comes through in these reports is that for the most part, those were absent. And the text messages, I think, even bear that out as well. That even after that noting of the fact that Timothy was very thin and that they needed to start feeding him, Paul was still a willing participant in the truly tragic and horrible things that happened in the last days of Timothy's life, including the prolonged ice bath that Paul watched over. So certainly that bad needs to be addressed as well. So again, I don't envy the position the court is in today. I will stick with my commitment here and ask the court to sentence within the sentencing guidelines. But quite frankly, any number that the court picks here, I think would be an appropriate sentence for Mr. Ferguson. I'm pleased that we've been able to achieve whatever justice we could for Timothy here in both of these convictions, and certainly the two people most directly responsible for what happened to Timothy are going to, in all likelihood, be incarcerated for an extended period of time, certainly in Ms. Vander Ark's case for the rest of her life, which is completely justified under these circumstances. So I would ask the court, too, as it will have to do, to weigh the good and the bad here in these reports. And I trust the court's I trust whatever decision the court makes here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Eldon Brady, the elocution.
Your Honor, I'd like to start by responding to a point that Mr. Robert made before I go into the multiple points I plan to address.
You know what I think about those multiple points you plan to address, sir? Shut your face. No one cares. Your client's trash.
I understand the prosecutor's characterization of Paul as being the enforcer, as being the primary one. But I believe part of that is based simply on the evidence that we have. This court's heard the text messages, extensive text messages.
Here, this is for you, Becky.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Detector test determined that was a lie.
Of Ms. Vander Ark instructing Paul on what he was to do to Timothy. You've heard Paul's testimony about what he was instructed to do and what he did. The rest of the time, when she was there doing whatever she did, Paul was at work. She didn't have to send text messages to herself. Timothy's not here to talk about what happened when it was just him and his mother. So I disagree with that characterization. I believe, based on what we do know of Ms. Vander Ark, that there was far, far more that went on. There was far, far more that she did that there simply is no evidence of, no one to speak of, because the only person alive who knows what she did is her. Beyond that, reading the pre-sentence report in this case, I can't argue with the reasonableness of the recommendations in the pre-sentence report. I also really can't add anything about the offense, about the details of what happened to Timothy. You presided over the same trial that I watched. I know in motions, other paperwork submitted to the court, you're aware of far, far more than what came out publicly, what was submitted to the jury. But I'd ask the court to consider, I think there's 5 fronts on which Paul should be evaluated very differently than where his mother is. And the first is just capacity to understand. We heard Ms. Vander Ark's attorney argue they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't realize that it could kill him or cause that level of injury. And
Oh my God, why would you get timed out? Why would you get sent to timeout? No one gets sent to timeout here unless they're being all crazy. And I'm not like monetized or anything, so I don't have any I don't have fight bots or anything like that. So unless I direct one of my mods to kick you out, like no one's getting sent to the corner here. Oh no. Fightbot likes to put me in timeout a lot.
I don't have to come to a conclusion. I don't have to say I think that's right or that's wrong. To understand that a 41-year-old law school graduate who was, by her own boasting, at the top of her class, who passed the bar with flying colors, who would have been an attorney, well, academically was qualified to be an attorney. We never got an answer why she wasn't. And who worked for the court, both from a legal front, from a moral front, from an intellectual front, had far, far more capacity to understand what she was doing and the potential consequences of what she was doing than her son, who was a 20-year-old high school graduate who worked as a dishwasher. There's simply no comparison in capacity, in life experience, in an ability to understand and recognize what was happening. Second, well, we recognize, for purposes of the child abuse statute, for purposes of Paul's plea, the law may not distinguish between a parent and another person over the age of 18 who's placed in charge of a child. We all know a mother has a very different role than a sibling. We all know
It doesn't matter. He still abused the child.
that there's a certain level of rivalry, a certain level of competition that we expect between siblings, which is very different than the care that we expect from parents. Third, and I'll come back to the text messages, it was very clear Paul was the follower and his mother was the leader in this case. Listening to over an hour of text messages read during her trial, there's pieces missing. We don't get the whole story because she talked to him on the camera, or she talked to him on the phone, or she talked to him in person. But what is very clear from those text messages is there is not a single time that Paul gives an instruction. Every single time.
Yeah, Becky, because he had a job. It wasn't like he was bound to the house. He had a job, which was him working at a restaurant. He could have brought food home. He could have called the cops. He could have said, hey, can you come back to the house and help me? I've got a situation here. I need backup. I need help. Things could have been done and he didn't do them. And I'm pretty sure that even with the mental whatever he has, he still knew right from wrong. Oh my God, there you are, sir. I think at this point you need to hit the like button and subscribe. You know what? You know what you need? I knew it was going to come to this one day. I was going to have to pull this back out. Oh, I can't pull it up. Well, I don't know if I could pull it up right now. You know you're getting a detention slip, right? You know that, right? Can I put 2 things up on the screen? I wonder if I can. Yes. That's for you, Dan. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You get detention. Can see me after class, sir.
Instruction is given. You need to do this. It is given by her. Fourth, and Mr. Roberts has addressed this regarding Paul's cooperation. Once the gravity of what happened sank in, I believe from the reports that was a day or so after, Paul has shown remorse. He's shown confusion over how he could have done this.
He's shown, oh shit, I'm in trouble, is what he's showing. And now he's cowering like a little biatch. And this little game that he's playing right here, nobody's buying that, dude. Get out of here.
And recognition that it was wrong. He's testified honestly. He's fully cooperated.
Look at how uncomfortable he is. He keeps moving his arms. So remember how they said that Timothy and Paul both had like sensory issues, and I told you that I had that too. It's the handcuffs. The handcuffs are driving him crazy, and he probably wants to scream at the top of his lungs right now, but he can't.
In many areas in ways that were not of clear benefit to him. His mother did none of these things. She took the stand and lied, redirected. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. And fifth, and I think very important in looking at the evaluations of Mr. Ferguson, it's very clear that he and his other siblings were also victims of their mother. CPS involvement going back to when they were in elementary school, back when Timothy was 18 months old. A third grade teacher who said Paul and Nolan are secretive about what happens at home. They're not supposed to talk about it.
Oh.
So when Mr. John...
Remember, you guys, I told you that I had heard some things about Nolan. Now that's the kid. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting. That is one of her sons. So the son and daughter that did the impact statements the week before last. So I know you do, Gucci. So his brother Nolan, I told y'all I heard about some things about him, but I don't know for sure. But I heard that he had been essaying one of his siblings, allegedly. I don't know for sure, but is that the same Dan? No, those are two different Dans. But yeah, I don't think allegedly maybe he's all that innocent himself.
Johnson argued in cross-examination to Paul, why didn't you report it to somebody? A lifetime of being told you're not supposed to talk about what goes on at home. A lifetime of being isolated, separated from peers, having no meaningful social contacts outside his household. That all started with her. A record that when Timothy was 18 months old, when Paul was 7, that Timothy was underfed, failure to thrive. Paul didn't have anything to do with that. He was 7. But that was the pattern. That was his entire life. That was his entire framework. That was what...
Oh my word, if anyone needed a new attorney, it was this one. This attorney's making me fall asleep. Oh my God.
What she taught him from the beginning, or at times failed to teach him through neglect. Mr. Roberts referenced, and I don't remember if it was in sentencing or in
Oh,
his closing
hello,
argument,
Hazel. Good to see you.
that the difference between Timothy and Paul was that Paul was useful. Timothy wasn't. At least not to their mother. And I wouldn't disagree with that characterization. But I think that's important for the court to consider. Timothy was treated the way he was because he wasn't useful. That's how children in their mother's household were treated if they weren't useful. And I believe at some level, some part of Paul understood that. He understood that we do these things to Timothy because he misbehaves, because he doesn't follow instruction, and because he's not useful. And part of understanding that is also understanding that if he didn't follow instructions, if he misbehaved, if he got on her bad side, that he could once again be subject to some of the same mistreatment. On the neglect front, I don't think any of them ever ceased to be subject to that mistreatment. And I'll end with his mother's own words from the text messages read in court. To Paul, quote, "If he falls asleep for you, from you, not watching, that is not going to end well for either of you." Thank you.
Your Honor, if I could just make one more brief point, and it's not in response to anything that Mr. Eldon Brady has said, but the court referenced that it's had a lot of outside people contacting the court. I certainly have had that as well. And one of the consistent themes there is people believing that Paul suffers, or not suffers, it's not a suffering. That Paul is on the autism spectrum. I think it's important to note that in both of these evaluations, that's not borne out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hazel.
Certainly people may have that belief and think that should be a factor here, but there's nothing in either one of these reports that supports that conclusion. So I just want to note that. That is certainly something that I think the court could have considered, but there's nothing in the report that would support that, and I don't think Mr. Eldon Brady would disagree with that point.
Yeah, I was going to reference that in my comments as well, so.
Your Honor, I think the reports do bear out that some of the characteristics that those individuals are observing and coming to that conclusion are connected to that neglect and abuse, and I believe it was Dr. Farrak characterized as normalization of abnormal behavior. So while I agree that both analysis seem to have come to the conclusion that that diagnosis is inappropriate, I don't believe that those observations by the individuals mentioning that are ungrounded. It's simply that those behavioral characteristics come from a different source and therefore do not lead to the ability to officially diagnose with that condition. That does not change the fact that those characteristics are there, that those characteristics are relevant to Paul's interactions with his mother, or that those characteristics are relevant to...
Dan, I think so, and I think by looking at his expression right here that he's rethinking his choice, his purchase. Mr. Hold on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's got to be an 11 head.
ongoing treatment services that Paul will need moving forward.
Okay. Mr. Ferguson, anything you wish to say prior to sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hell yeah.
What reasons could justify my actions? I could make up 1,000.
Oh, here we go with the bullshit.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God.
and never
There he
wrote
is.
one. What words could voice my regrets? I can think of millions, yet never feel it's enough. If I could do it all again, and do it right, I would. I feel I will pay for my choices, and yet never feel better, because he's still gone. I have had time to think during my time in Muskegon County Jail, and I've realized many things about myself that I might never have considered otherwise. My problems and flaws, to put it simply, are the place to begin correction of self. I ask the judge for nothing more than mercy and fairness, to offer me compassion so I might learn from him. I only hope to better my...
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Compassion? You want some compassion so you can learn from him? No. See, this tells me he knows what compassion is because he's asking for it. He should have had compassion for Timothy. Then we wouldn't be here.
myself in the coming days, and serve my time with what little honor I have left, and to make
Bitch
right my
didn't have
faults
any.
in search of a better tomorrow.
Ms. Ferguson. First and foremost, as Mr. Roberts referenced, the court was in a difficult position. This particular case, I think a lot of individuals saw Mr. Ferguson testify, and I think there was concerns about intellectual potential disabilities, and the court was concerned with that as well. There was also concern whether Mr. Ferguson was the target of manipulation on behalf of his mother, and the reports that were submitted to the court really did help me a lot in trying to parse those issues out. The report specifically by Dr. Shazer is very in-depth, and very well done, and I thank him for doing such a detailed analysis. So the first concern of the court was whether or not Mr. Ferguson was suffering from some sort of intellectual disability, whether it be autism or something else. And there's a couple references to that throughout his Dr. Shazer's report. And specifically, the first reference that the court had highlighted was on page 2 of the report, first full paragraph, and it says, in my opinion, he, referring to Mr. Ferguson, was clearly either psychotic or suffering from symptoms of a mood disorder at the time of the court interview. And he was apparently functioning within at least the normal range of intellectual ability at this time. Thus, in my opinion, he does not suffer from a chronic psychotic disorder, a chronic mood disorder, or an intellectual disability. There's another reference more to the end of the report where he indicates, thus, his referring to Mr. Ferguson, his educational history is inconsistent with him suffering from intellectual deficits, and as noted above, he was apparently functioning within at least the normal range of intellectual ability at the time of the court interview. In my opinion, the defendant clearly does not suffer from an intellectual disability. So the court, that was helpful in the court because as in some of the letters that I received as well, Mr. Roberts indicated that there was concern that Mr. Ferguson was autistic, and I think probably more toward that was easier to maybe manipulate him and that kind of thing, and certainly the court does take someone's intellectual capacity into consideration. I think it's important to understand the full situation.
Yeah, Becky, you would know for sure then. I hate it when I say this on here all the time, but I hate it when people use any kind of, hi, PJ, good to see you. I hate it when anybody uses any kind of illness or mental illness or anything like that to try to get out of something. Tanner Horner tried to do it. They blame they try to use these things to get out of stuff because they're like, oh, well, maybe this will work, and it really doesn't help those of us who are actually going through these things. Hi, Robert. Good to see you. Yeah, Becky, it's not fair because the people that are actually going through these things that aren't doing the things that he has done or other people has done, like, we get a bad rep. Like, I've got BPD, and people like me have a bad rep because of people like him that use it. Well, I did this because I've got that. And it's like, no, I'm not out here doing all this other stuff. I know other people that have issues that aren't out there doing other stuff. Like, we're not hurting people. This is not an excuse. This is the behavior that you decided to have, and now you've got to deal with the consequences.
So the court, and although those are two small portions of the opinion that the court referenced, they're borne out by much more in detail history in Dr. Shazer's report. Specifically, Dr. Shazer analyzed every statement that the defendant gave to the police. He also watched the testimony of Mr. Ferguson himself. He also looked through his history from the Oklahoma Department of Health and Human Services. He looked through his history from school records, from various psychological assessments that were conducted throughout his life based on the report. So I think that opinion is well grounded in not only his interview, his review of educational records, his review of mental health records, and everything else, Health West records currently from when he was.
And if someone with a mental illness or something like that does have a violent outburst, it's usually because they're severely triggered, or they've got to be triggered by something.
When he became in Muskegon County Jail, so the court finds that to be quite persuasive in terms of whether or not Mr. Ferguson is suffering from any intellectual disability. And the court concludes based on this report.
That's amazing.
Well-written report, well-grounded in fact and history of the defendant, that he was not suffering from an intellectual disability currently or at the time of this offense. The second thing is whether or not Mr. Ferguson was somehow manipulated or coerced by his mother.
Body language right there said, yep, I knew exactly what I was doing, because he just looked down.
I think all of us would like to believe that this is a product of manipulation, that this is simply somebody doing something that they were told to do, that they were afraid. Mr. Alvin Brady mentioned it in his allocution regarding the specific text messages. Well, thus,
Becky, he's so good, and I loved when we did Shonda's sentencing, everything that he said to her, and the fact that he had Timothy's picture up there. He was like, I refuse to let people remember him as the way that you left him, and I want people to remember him like this, because she destroyed that child, like, from the inside out, outside in. Like, she just absolutely destroyed him. And this, I think, could not have been a better judge for this case. Like, something drew him to Timothy's case.
specific text messages I heard as well at the trial. Shortly after the trial concluded, I asked the prosecutor's office for a complete copy of every single text messages that would occur between Ms. Vander Ark and Mr. Ferguson, because I didn't want just the snippets, the kind of highlights, or the real juicy stuff, for lack of a better term. I wanted to understand completely what the conversation was between these individuals. I read every single text message, every one of them. I think there's thousands in there, and I've read it 3 times now. 3 times in total. I read it 2 months ago, I read it a month ago, and I read it last week Friday. The entire afternoon was spent reading through these things, and I think it's clear to me that Mr. Ferguson, although
Miss Lucy, sweetheart, you mentioned you have BPD. bipolar or borderline. Sometimes people, okay, so I have borderline personality disorder. Yeah, bipolar, that's for the weaklings. Yeah, BPD, people use it for both, but yeah, I've got borderline.
He says that he was scared of his mother, or there's an allegation of that standpoint. I find that just the opposite to be true based on those text messages. There is some mention about punishment, but I think Mr. Ferguson, in my opinion, being submissive, for lack of a better term, to his mother was a result that he really had nowhere else to go. He had been kicked out from his father's house for failing to obey his father's rules and for other things. And he went to his mother's house, and I don't think Mr. Ferguson really had anywhere else to go. I think he was sort of beholden to his mother in terms of, well, there's going to be consequences. Although there are some text messages, one or two of those that bear that out, this strikes me in the text messages as more of a collaborative effort. In fact, there's some text messages where Ms. Vander Ark actually tells Mr. Ferguson that if Ms. Timothy does not behave, essentially, I'm going to leave him to you. As in that he's going to let the dog out and just log off the chain. And Mr. Ferguson also several times essentially tells his mother things that are going on that are bad. And I think it's because he wants his mother to give him the permission to go ahead and engage in punishment. So in terms of whether or not his mother, he was somehow afraid of his mother, I don't think that to be the case. Now, that was my initial feeling about it, and what I took it as, and that's why I wanted the assessment regarding whether or not he was being manipulated. And luckily, we did get one from the second one I referenced was from Dr. Farhat, which is.
Oh, I understand, Junior. It's okay. A lot of these are really hard to watch, but that's why I play them, because a lot of it is too much for creators to do, and somebody's got to do it, and as many people that can put these out there, more the better, I guess. So I feel like I'm strong enough to do it, and if you guys are willing to come and watch and discuss and talk, awesome. It's about getting the information out and also being a little snarky and trying to be lighthearted at the same time. Things like this in cases like maybe triggering for some. Yeah. And that's what it is for me too, Becky, is I like to see the justice. It's about, for me, it's about the kids. Someone needs to be their voice, and they're still, even though like a lot of the trials that I do and I'm going to do are going to be older trials, because those children still matter today. And a lot of people don't know who they were or what their story was. And I think that they deserve to have their story be told. I think that they still deserve to be loved by many more people. But BRB, the mobs and oh, I'm sorry, Junior. But yes, get through this.
Specifically, I think he was asked to assess this particular question, and in the beginning of his assessment, he says that specifically, I was asked to assess whether Mr. Ferguson possessed a psychological disorder of traits that would render him significantly susceptible to manipulation, coercion, or suggestibility. After conducting the evaluation, I could not substantiate these traits as they pertain to the commission of the offense. As such, this report will instead explain the nature of the evaluation and my overall opinions regarding Mr. Ferguson's psychological functioning. He also opined regarding his intellectual abilities. He says, from a diagnostic standpoint, I did not find sufficient evidence to support Mr. Ferguson meeting criteria for any specific mental disorder. While one may consider whether his presentation suggested a neurodevelopmental condition, for example, e.g. autism spectrum disorder, I did not find this to be an appropriate label. Instead, I attributed his overall demeanor and presentation to factors such as a lack of socialization, normalization of abnormal dynamics and experiences, poor interpersonal skills, and emotional dysregulation. He also indicated later on that page that I was initially asked to evaluate whether Mr. Ferguson had a mental condition or traits that would have rendered him susceptible to coercion, manipulation, or suggestibility at the time of the offense. Ultimately, I could not arrive at this conclusion based on the totality of the available information. Available evidence noted that he was capable of appreciating the abuse towards his brother, that he was capable of recognizing the detrimental impact it had, and that he at times disobeyed Ms. Vander Ark and tried to provide his brother.
He knew that it wasn't right and that it was harming his brother, because he even said, Mom, we need to feed him. You could see his ribs.
With aid and support. Furthermore, despite reporting that he was under Ms. Vander Ark's, quote, psychological hold, he adamantly denied that he was coerced or manipulated into enforcing the abuse. Additionally, he recognized to some degree pleasure in having power and control over his younger brother. In this sense, while I acknowledge that he reported experiencing fear and concerns of disobeying Ms. Vander Ark, I could not reliably substantiate his involvement as being a byproduct of suggestibility or coercion. So what this court is left to conclude is that Mr. Ferguson, the way I look at this is that Mr. Ferguson in these reports, and a lot of these, throughout the report, there's talk about how Mr. Ferguson bullied his brother.
I totally get it, Junior.
When he was younger. There's a mention, his stepsister, who I think was allocated on behalf of his mother, or on behalf of Timothy at Miss Vander Ark's sentencing. It says the stepsister, and this is before the police even really told her about exactly what had happened in here. It says the stepsister reportedly told the police that, quote, she doesn't know how involved Paul was in this situation, but he is the biggest bully she has ever met in her life, and he found genuine joy in tormenting Timothy whenever possible.
Judge, for clarification, I don't think that was Millie, that the stepsister.
So maybe I'm
was
wrong.
Millie.
Okay, so perhaps I'm wrong about that. But this was someone who, without even knowing the full details, reported that. In one of the interviews, Mr. Ferguson indicated that he liked getting praised by Shonda and admitted he liked having control over Timothy. He reportedly admitted having power over somebody feels good. Later in the
See? And look at him. He knows. He knows. Look at him. Trifling ass.
interview, I asked him whether he had felt ashamed at the time when he was abusing his brother, and he said, quote, no, he had not. I asked whether he had recognized his action as morally wrong at the time, and he again said, quote, no, he had not. He then volunteered that on one occasion, quote, I sent her a photo of how thin he was, and when I asked why he did this, he explained that I was worried. When asked when he was worried about Mr. Ferguson, Ferguson replied that he had been concerned for his house, and that he was nothing but bones. I asked him whether he had, at the moment, thought that this abusive behavior was wrong, and he replied that, quote, that thought never even crossed my mind. The treatment plan back from July 22nd of 2012 indicates that, quote, client, meaning Mr. Ferguson, sometimes bullies his younger brother, the decedent, Timothy. also mentions cruelty to animals, stealing, abuse. His mother at the time.
Another one with cruelty to animals. Now, you know that these children out here that have cruelty to animals or that are playing around with dead animals and stuff when they are itty bitty little children's, they turn out weird. Okay? They're weird kids. Sometimes psychopaths. And often they end up in prison.
Time back in 2018 told staff at the clinic he's
What do you like to do? Oh, I like to play with dead cats. You? Yeah.
become bossy, telling his siblings what to do. For Mr. Ferguson's part, reportedly, when commenting about his being irritable, he admits that this is due to his younger siblings not listening. He gets physically aggressive towards his younger siblings. He also tried to lock his younger brother, i.e. apparently a reference to the decedent, in the closet because his brother wouldn't listen to him. So the court read this and certainly looks at this as someone who is predisposed, I think was the ultimate conclusion, predisposed to abuse his brother. Specifically,
I think that she's absolutely done a lot of this to Paul. I've even said in some past episodes that I think that he has been a victim of her. But the thing is that he knows better and he could have stopped the cycle. He could have gotten him help.
The victim in this case, in a history of doing that. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Mr. Ferguson is a result of years and years and years of physical neglect and abuse on behalf of his mother. No doubt in my mind that's borne out in this report. But the court is asked to essentially ignore the decisions or his behavior because of that, and to somehow say that we're going to minimize the damage and what he did in this case because of that. If the court started imposing that standard, I think we would be in real trouble. Because every defendant that comes before this court has a horrible history, I would say. That's the reason they're here. People that have supportive parents and things go good for them typically don't come here. Now, that's not always the case. Believe me, there's a lot of interventions. But everybody has a history. And what I was looking at is whether or not this is a product of his mother or his situation. And what I can conclude is that this is not. Mr. Ferguson is trying to shift blame from his mother, from him to his mother, to say that somehow, well, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have done this.
That's my baby goose. Oh, Kane's back. Yeah.
Or she's the one that did this. At the trial, well, at her order. He kept saying it over and over and over again. This and just keep underscoring the point. And if that had been an isolated incident, if that had been one or two of these things, if that had been a punishment that he administered, maybe the court could accept that. But we have an individual who was in a household for 6 months, intentionally himself engaging in torture of another person. And he doesn't, he said, well, I'm worried about my mom's going to say. Clearly it's not borne out in these reports. He had the ability to disobey his mom. In fact, he was on the stand and almost boasted that, well, I gave him extra food. Well, weren't you worried about how your mom was going to be upset? I still gave him extra food. So what that tells me is that this has been a careful, manipulated story by Mr. Ferguson from the very beginning of this thing, that he's going to put the blame on his mom. I'm going to be manipulated. I have Asperger's syndrome. I have autism. I have Stockholm syndrome. There's mention of him saying, well, maybe I have Stockholm syndrome here. No, this is an individual. What the truth of this is that we have two individuals that lack empathy, who lack emotion, And both of them, the triggering factor in this report, the triggering factor that caused this abuse was the removal of the husband, of stepdad. Once he was gone, these two individuals were free to torture somebody, and they did it. That's what they did. And I think Ms. Vander Ark did use Mr. Ferguson. I think that she knew from his history that he was predisposed to torment Timothy. I think that she knew that he would have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Mr. Ferguson walked through that door and was happy to be the enforcer. Was happy to do it, and continued to torture his brother over and over and over and over until he was a shell of a person, until he was dead, died.
And Becky, I'll never understand that, why people are like this. I've never understood it. And it seems to me like there was just a cycle of abuse going on in this family because, we went back and we saw that Shonda's history, her family history, it seemed like she was in foster care for a bit, and her foster parents gave her hot sauce with bread and gave her ice baths. And, then she goes and it starts with, I don't know if it starts with Nolan because he's the oldest, but then you've got Paul, and now they're in cahoots, and now they're taking it out on the younger one. So there's something going on in this family. And if you remember me talking about the other family history with Shonda and her father, that's pretty wild. With after her mom dying, her father making her the new woman of the house in all ways. And he put her on birth control, and he ended up getting her younger sister pregnant, and she was so upset that she didn't get pregnant first. That's how screwed up the minds of these people are, okay?
Starvation, died from hypothermia. He had no fat on him, barely any muscle on him. And the whole time, just letting
The volume fix?
letting it happen.
That's weird.
The report says it appears that the stepfather's presence in the home had prevented Paul and his mother from abusing the victim. Again, it wasn't anything to do, they were just holding him back, essentially. The overall opinion, which I think is important, is, in my opinion, although the defendant's participation in the abuse was in a part a function of his social milieu and living situation, these contextual factors were not a necessary condition for his participation. As previously noted, mental health records contain information to the effect that while they were still living with their father and stepmother and reportedly had no contact with their mother, Mr. Ferguson's stepmother told the psychiatrist that he had become bossy, telling his sibling what to do, and the defendant himself that he would become irritable due to his younger siblings not listening. He gets physically aggressive, told his younger sibling. He also reports that he's gotten irritated with his siblings and has pushed them in retaliation. He's also tried to lock his younger brother, the decedent, in the closet because his brothers wouldn't listen to him. Consistent with this, Norton Shores Police Department documents indicate that Mr. Ferguson's stepsister told police that, quote, he is the biggest bully she's ever met in her life, and he found genuine joy in tormenting Timothy whenever possible when they were living in the biological father's home. Notably, the defendant allegedly engaged in this abusive behavior despite there being
Dan, you stop it.
any safety rules in place, despite his father and stepmother disapproving of this behavior to such an extent that they removed him from their home once he turned 18 because of it. In my opinion, Paul Ferguson was predisposed to abuse his brother independent of his mother's present and active influence in his life. Nonetheless, in my opinion, Mr. Ferguson's involvement in repeated acts of abuse that amounted to physical and psychological torture over a period of months reflects a general lack of empathy for his brother and a lack of remorse for his actions. Concludes that, in my opinion, there is no reason to believe that Mr. Ferguson's conduct disorder has remitted or that his participation in the abuse of his brother was not an expression of a persistent pattern of antisocial conduct. The court is concerned that Mr. Ferguson will not get the help he needs in prison. I think he's one step away from becoming a psychopath.
There it is. One step away from becoming a psychopath. Bam.
Mother. And the court is concerned that he represents a danger to the public. That if released, he would represent a significant danger to the public. The charge here is child abuse. And I don't think this charge or the sentencing guidelines take into adequate consideration of the long sustained torture in this case. As I indicated in Ms. Vander Ark's testimony, there was a long period of months of various punishments, including bread with hot sauce. There's hot sauce that apparently contains 2 of the hottest peppers that we have in the world. Wall sits for an individual who practically had no muscle left. Running up and down stairs, cleaning out a garage with no pants on, sleep deprivation.
Speaking of no muscle, child, I need to interrupt this for a second. You know what that... I hope I don't lose followers for saying this, but you know what that toilet water of a man in the White House said. Y'all, this man done said that he is only 4 point something fat, has only 4 point something of body fat, 4 point something % of body fat. Y'all, tell me why this man keeps lying to us. Y'all know knows we can see him, right? Hold on. Order in the court. Sir. Oh, somebody get this man in order, because apparently the judges ain't doing it, okay? The judges ain't doing it. It's real special, Dan. It's really fucking special. You mean to tell me that this oversized Oompa Loompa is going to try to say that he's only 4% body fat? Sir. I'm just going to move on.
Itself. Putting alarms on him so he couldn't move or sleep. Making him puke up food. There's bathroom timers. Sleeping in the closet with a tarp down, which quite frankly might be considered animal.
Yep, 3 people left. Hey, it's whatever. Sorry, not sorry.
Animal abuse, but we have a human being here, making his hands over his head, and then at the end of his life, an 8-hour practically ice bath that killed him. So no, I don't think any of those things are adequately taken into consideration.
Okay, Junior, thank you for being here. Have a good time with your company. There's been another mass shooting in Sandy. Oh no. I'll have to take a look after this.
The guidelines. And I don't think the guidelines, quite frankly, can even... These guidelines don't justify Mr. Ferguson's actions. Mr. Ferguson, I think you are a product of your environment, but I don't believe you that you're sorry. I don't.
He said, oh man, I'm not getting away with it. He was like, wait, you believe it? I'm a product of my environment, right? Oh, okay. I'm going to have to look into that after this because I don't screen share, so I don't have anything on
I
that.
think you have empathy I don't think you have any emotion whatsoever. And that's what scares the court. It really scares me. I think you're sorry that you're here. I think you're sorry you got caught. I don't think you wanted Tim to die either, like your mother, because you would get caught and you wouldn't torture him anymore. And believe me, I've tried to sit here and try to think, well, maybe Mr. Ferguson's not as bad as Mom. I think you're just as bad, if not worse. If not worse. Because you
Wait, did this happen today or yesterday? Because it's saying 6 hours ago that multiple people are unalived and one officer is wounded after a shooting outside Portland, Oregon on Sunday. Police said one suspect has been arrested. Wait, when is this? Hold on. June 1st. The incident happened in the city of Sandy around 4 p.m. The Sandy police chief, Patrick Husky, in a statement, Husky said officers were called to the scene of a domestic disturbance and shooting in which they came under gunfire and returned fire. Clackamas County Sheriff deputies were also a part of the response. One officer was struck during the exchange of fire and suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Husky said the officer was evacuated from the scene by a life flight helicopter. The police chief said that the officer's condition was considered stable and they are expected to survive. Multiple people were unalived at the scene of the shooting. Officers took the suspect into custody several hours after the shooting took place around 8 p.m. So, yeah. Yeah. Says, I know many people are grieving. Husky said, I ask everyone in our community to keep the victims, our injured officer, and their family and friends, and all of the first responders in their thoughts tonight. Police located and surrounded the suspect at a residential property prior to the arrest. A shelter in place had been ordered for a southeastern section of the city earlier in the day, Sunday, but it was lifted after a few hours, according to the news station. And that's all I've got in this article. So that's sad. So guess we'll keep you guys updated on that. And we're almost done with this, and then we will get into Rebecca Haro's hearing. I think that's only like 20 minutes, and I think that's really all I've got for you guys today.
You could have, Mr. Johnson actually asked you, couldn't you have brought home a
No, Mustang, thank you. Anytime something like that comes up, please feel free to tell me. I don't like screen sharing, so I always have my stuff pre-video screen recorded. So I can look stuff up and read it to you, but I can't show you anything unless I've already got it prepared. I don't know why I do it like that. I think it's my OCD.
thing of food for him? You could have gone to a neighbor and said, hey, my mom's abusing him. You could have grabbed him and got him out of there. You could have done any number of things to stop this. And you chose not to. Your own brother. And this is where we're at. So, based on all that, the sentence of the court, you serve 30 years to 100 years, Michigan Department of Corrections.
Look at his face! Oh, shit. Hold on, let me run it back. Run it back. Sorry. I fricked it up. Did y'all see his face?
So no, I don't think any of those things are adequately taken into consideration by the guidelines. And I don't think the guidelines, quite frankly, can even, these guidelines don't justify Mr. Ferguson's actions. Mr. Ferguson, I think you are a product of your environment, but I don't believe you that you're sorry. I don't think you have empathy. I don't think you have any emotion
I rewound
whatsoever.
it too much. Oh well.
And that's what scares the court. It really scares me. I think you're sorry that you're here. I think you're sorry you got caught.
I know if I try
I
to
don't
fast
think you
forward
wanted
it,
Tim
I'm
to die
going to
either,
move it
like
too
your mother,
much.
because you would get caught and you wouldn't torture him anymore. And believe me, I've tried to sit here and try to think, well, maybe Mr. Ferguson's not as bad as Mom. I think you're just as bad, if not worse. If not worse. Because you had a job. You could have, Mr. Johnson actually asked you, couldn't you have brought home a thing of food for him? You could have gone to a neighbor.
But he said, "Oh, well, I can only have one free meal a night." Well, you didn't need to give it to him. And then he was all like, "Well, the gas station, it wasn't on my way home," or whatever bullshit excuse he
He
had.
said, hey, my mom's abusing him. You could have grabbed him and got him out of there. You could have done any number of things to stop this. And you chose not to. Your own brother. And this is where we're at. So, based on all that, it's a sentence of the court. You serve 30 years to 100.
There it is. Look at that face, that oh shit face. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. That's great. I don't know why his attorney looks like he's a little shocked too. He knew.
Years, Michigan Department of Corrections. Credit for 592 days you've already served. Court's going to assess a $68 state cost, $130.
It looked like he started hyperventilating. He genuinely, yeah, he did. He thought since he testified against Shonda that he was going to get out scot-free. Not his future self, y'all.
No additional financial costs. Mr. Ferguson, you have a right to file an appeal in this case if you're finding that it's retained an attorney who will be appointed to a public expense. Request for the assistance of a lawyer must
I
be
think he
made
might
42
cry for the
days from
first time
today's
in his
date.
life.
Clerk is handing you a form that you must complete. Return to the court in that 42 days if you wish to request the appointment of an attorney on appeal or adjourned.
All right. Y'all want to see him get walked out? And then we'll go to the next thing. Wah, 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 wah. Bye-bye. All right. Let's get this next video. So, Miss... Please don't be sticky. Don't be weird. Oh, it's going to be sticky. Abba Zaba, you my only friend. But I think I might have to put him in the fridge because he's sticky. Man, I really wanted that too. Okay. Oh, hi, Coco. Yeah. Oops, he needed a new underpants. Yeah. Okay, so Miss Rebecca Haro, this trifling asshole. So this woman, she got 12 years and 8 months in the California State Prison after pleading guilty to child endangerment, causing great bodily injury, involuntary manslaughter, being an accessory after the fact in the death of her 7-month-old son, Okay. Prosecutors stated that she knew or should have known that Emmanuel was being abused by his father, Jake Haro, but failed to protect him and helped conceal the crime afterwards. As a part of her bullshit plea agreement, which I'm so tired of these people getting plea agreements. I feel like my face is like all up in there. Unless she was going to give the location of a body or something, she should not have gotten a plea agreement because she would. So, as a part of her plea agreement, a murder charge was dropped. Emmanuel's father had previously pleaded guilty to murder and received a sentence of 25 to life in prison. She could have gotten something like that. So I'm so sick of these plea deals. If you had maybe given us where he was, then I could understand. But I'm so tired of these child killers getting away with it. Like, I'm sorry, but 25 isn't even enough. Like, that whole baby, and not to mention poor his other daughter that he completely just left brain dead. I mean, nobody, no plea. Exactly. Not everything is, ugh. Y'all know that I've got sensory processing disorder, so I don't like sticky stuff. All right. They don't like, yeah. Especially when they're getting things like switches and curling irons and jewelry, and they can just get anything and everything in there. Like, they don't even have to be on good behavior anymore. It's just if you've got enough money, which, I mean, that's what makes the world go round even more so than before. All right. Let me see. I had some other pictures, but they're not wanting to come up, so that's okay. All right. This is SPD undiagnosed, but when you put it like that, for sure. Okay. And I think this is only like 20 minutes or something, and then that's pretty much all I have for you guys. But I'm going to go on in my posts section and leave that trailer for Fox Hollow Farms, that docu-series, because you guys really need to see it. It's really good. In the creepiest way. Like, I might actually watch it again. And I actually thought it was new because I have been obsessed with this case for years. And I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know there was a documentary out. This must be new. And I looked it up. It came out like over a year ago. So I am totally late on that. All right. So here's Haro's. Sounds like more weapons for them to use. Here is Haro.
All right, let's go ahead and call the matter of People versus Rebecca Renee Haro, case number FERI 2504808-2. Counsel, please state your appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jeff. Good morning, Your Honor. William Robinson for the People.
All right, good morning to you all. So we're here today for a preliminary hearing, but I understand that the parties have in the interim resolved the matter. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right, so I have a copy of the plea agreement here. I understand that under the terms of the plea agreement, the people will be moving to amend the complaint. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
Counts 3, 4, and 5. 4, 5, and 6. Count 4 will be a violation of Penal Code Section 273AA. Attached to that will be an allegation pursuant to 12022.7 subdivision D, causing great bodily injury to a child under 5. And count 5 will be an amended violation of Penal Code Section 192.
Hi, Becky. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Subdivision B, involuntary manslaughter. And then count 6 will be an amended count 6 will be a violation of Penal Code Section 32, accessory after the fact of murder.
Do you have any specific dates for those counts?
Yes, counts 4 and 5 will be the same date range that is on the current amended complaint. Counts 1, 2, and 3. For count 6, the accessory, the date range is August 5th through August 22nd, 2005.
All right. Any objections from the defense as to those modifications and additions?
No objection, waive formal reading and advisement, waive formal arraignment. Ask that for the moment at least not guilty pleas and denials of allegations be entered.
All right. The court will accept and enter the plea of not guilty to all of those counts. All right. So unless there's anything else, then I'll go ahead and take the plea at this time.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Haro, good morning to you. All right, so I understand that it looks like you've entered into a plea agreement with the people. Just very
You look so
generally,
pathetic.
I'm not going to go into all of the details at this moment, but I just want to make sure that you understand the general terms of the agreement. So under this agreement that you have with the people,
Oh, they're
it
driving
looks
me
like
crazy.
you're going to be pleading to a one count of child endangerment with a violation of great bodily injury, also another count of involuntary manslaughter, and then finally one count of accessory after the fact.
Lulu, yes. Through Josh and Sarge. Yes, ma'am. I do believe so. You know, I have been wanting to email Sarge and ask him if he would come up on here and tell us some fun stories, but I'm so scared. He's going to be like, girl, no.
Together, those counts carry a total sentence under agreement with the people of 12 years and 8 months. In exchange, among other things, the people will be
I know they are. They are basically the same person. I love them both so much. It was so cool seeing Josh and Joseph at CrimeCon yesterday. I can't believe that he streamed from there. That was really cool. Joseph Morgan Scott was on an episode of Buried in the Backyard that I watched not too long ago. And I was actually in another room and I heard his voice and I was like, I know that voice. And I ran into the room and I was like, hey.
missing the other counts against you, which includes the count for murder. I know those are not all of the details of your agreement with them, but are those the general, is that your general understanding of your agreement with them?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So I have a document here. It has some initials on the right side, as well as the back, and some signatures. Are these your initials and signatures?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you understand that under that this agreement goes through some of the rights and consequences of you pleading guilty today? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
One is your right to have a trial where 12 jurors.
Who, Sarge? You want to see his wife? I know what Mike's wife looks like. It's so funny too because I don't think Mike remembers who I am. So Sarge and Mike used to go live like 2 years ago, I think it was. Oh, and is Josh married? But Sarge and Mike used to go live like 2 years ago, and then they went on a hiatus. They just like disappeared, and then they came back. Well, I used to go to the lives all the time, and Mike knew who I was, but I was underneath my name, not this name. And ever since he came back, he acts like he doesn't know me. Oh. Yeah, we're all from the same squad. At this point, they just share a channel. It's just like, which one are we gonna be on this week? Are we gonna be on Josh's panel or are we gonna be on Joe's panel? I know. Hi. Hi, Z. Good to see you. Can someone please drop her link? Thank you. Squad Squad. Yeah, I love it over there. It's so fun. I love being a mod for both of them. Yes. Just.
We'll have to agree beyond.
I actually became a mod for Josh because his fight bot timed me out and it made me mad. And so I ended up getting a mod spot and they kicked fight bot out for a while and they brought him back.
Reasonable doubt that the people have satisfied their burden of proof. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so by agreeing to plead guilty, there's going to be no trial. You waive that right to have a trial by jury, and instead you'll be sentenced by the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Before signing and initialing this form, did you have a chance to go through all of the rights on that form?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have a chance to discuss everything with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that besides the right that you're giving up to have a trial, one of some of the other rights that you
Yes, we have to say hello to Moo too. Hello, Moo.
will be giving up is if you're not a United States citizen, if you plead guilty, your conviction will almost certainly have an impact on your ability to remain in this country. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that one of the rights that you'll be giving up is possessing, owning, or having access to any firearms, ammunition, paraphernalia, anything like that? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you need any more time to speak to your attorney about anything, including the rights that you'll be giving up, anything, before entering your guilty plea today?
No, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you or forcing anyone close to you, exerting any pressure on you or anyone close to you in order for you to plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Are you pleading guilty because you did in fact do what the people allege that you have done?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Robinson, can you prepare a factual basis to be recited in court?
Mr. Smith.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
I know. We've all got wrenches.
Sure. Do you mean to take a factual basis?
Yes, Ms. Haro. So I'm going to have the prosecutor right now read a factual basis, and basically what this is what they believe that they can prove if this case were to proceed to trial. I want you to be listening to everything that he's saying, because after he's finished, I'm going to ask if you believe he can prove that the people can prove all of those things beyond a reasonable doubt if this case were to proceed to trial.
And, Your Honor, I would offer a stipulation to a factual basis to the pleas that we're entering today.
All right. Is that acceptable to the people stipulation?
As to these specific pleas, yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then the court will accept the factual basis. All right. All right, Ms. Haro, how do charges a violation of Penal Code Section 273A, subsection A, which is child endangerment, a felony. Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Do you admit or deny the violation under Penal Code Section 12022.7D, which is conduct resulting in great bodily injury? Do you admit or deny that allegation? How do you plead to count 5, which charges a violation of Penal Code Section 192B, which is involuntary manslaughter? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Sharon! Hi, Sharon. Good to see you.
And finally,
Welcome home.
how do you plead to count 6, which charges a violation of Penal Code Section 32, which is an accessory after the fact? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right, does counsel join?
I do.
Counsel, it just occurred to me, under the terms of the agreement, the defendant would also be admitting to one of the aggravated factors, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and it's delineated in the plea agreement, the plea form in the sentencing section on the last line right above the credits. There's an admission to 4.421, I believe.
I feel like I knew this was coming, and I'm
And
so
then
mad
finally,
about it.
Ms. Haro, do you admit or deny the aggravating factor under California Rule of Court?
I have a question. I have a question for y'all. What do you think what do you think made her decide to just finally take a plea and plead guilty? Do you think it was Jake? Do you think Jake told her to? Because I think she was holding out, like, no, I didn't do this. No, I don't know anything. Because remember, she kept telling that story, like, no, I got hit over the head. My baby was stolen. And then Jake pled guilty, and she was still sticking with that story. So I wonder if it was him that made her say, no, go ahead and plead guilty.
4.421A3, which is that the victim, Baby Doe, was particularly
Exactly, the hola.
vulnerable. Do you admit or deny? All right, the counsel joins.
I do.
All right, so after directly examining the defendant, the court finds that the defendant understands the nature of the charges against her, the consequences of her plea, and that her plea is free and voluntary, and that she has knowingly and intelligently waived her rights. The court will accept and enter your guilty pleas and admissions. All right, and then I understand that under the terms of the agreement, the parties would like to proceed immediately to sentencing.
Yes, Your Honor, we waive time for sentencing and waive referral to probation and preparation of a probation report. We request immediate sentencing for them.
All right.
If I can interrupt, I would like oral acknowledgement of the waiver of appellate rights, which is one of the terms in the plea deal.
That is correct. I've advised Ms. Haro of her appellate rights. I've entered in with her consent, and we can confirm this orally, a waiver of those appellate rights on the back side of that form on the second page.
All right, thank you. Ms. Haro, so under the terms of the plea agreement that you have with the people, in exchange for the benefits under the plea agreement, one of the rights that you'll be giving up is your ability to appeal any decision made by this court, as well as not only today, but also in previous proceedings. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you agree to give up your right to appeal any decisions that have been made by the court in your criminal proceedings?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel Joyce? Sure. All right, so the court also finds that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily and intelligently waived her right to appeal. All right, counsel, are we now prepared to go into sentencing?
I do have a brief statement prior to sentencing. It's okay with the court?
Yes, go ahead.
In a typical homicide sentencing, this would be the time for the family of the victim to speak to this court about who the victim was and what effect their absence will have on their lives. That conspicuously won't happen in this case. That won't happen because the two people in the world who should have been Emmanuel's biggest advocates and protectors are solely responsible for his murder. By contrast, Emmanuel did not die without advocates. I would note to this court that your courtroom is full of San Bernardino Sheriff's homicide team members who have been the only people working to find the truth about Emmanuel's life and his murder since Rebecca Haro called 911 last August. Only they have been working to bring Emmanuel's body home and provide him some semblance of peace. Even today, if either Rebecca or her husband found it in themselves to reveal to us the truth about where Emmanuel's body is, this team is ready to go immediately and get him. I want this court to understand that Emmanuel had people who cared about him. They just won't be addressing this court this morning, and they won't be his parents. I also want the record to reflect that for anyone reviewing this plea agreement in the future, the structure of this resolution reflects what I believe the evidence shows.
I think that it's way too fair, way too easy. I think that she should have not gotten a plea deal unless she told where Emmanuel was. I don't understand anymore, like, why these killers are getting the plea deals that they're getting. I feel like she should have gotten the same exact sentence that Jake got, and I think that his sentence was still not enough.
Happened in those months, weeks, and days leading up to Emmanuel's murder. Jake Haro was sentenced in November to 32 years to life for his sins of...
Is Jennifer Soto even still out there somewhere? Where'd she go hiding to? Where's she at? She's still got I have a lot of questions for her. Where's she at? Yes, she does. She sure does. Okay. That's where she wishes that she was. I think that she said that she went into one for a little while or something. I don't know. I doubt it.
Commission.
Casey Anthony is still running these streets like a wild child. I still can't believe she got off.
In other words, it was his hands that physically took Emmanuel's life. Rebecca Haro's plea and sentence today reflects her sins of omission. While we don't have evidence that she personally struck or shook her son, the evidence is clear that she repeatedly and consistently chose not to intervene on behalf of her son, in spite of his evident and accelerating physical deterioration. Her choice not to intervene was a choice to allow, if not facilitate, Emmanuel's death. This defendant had a legal and moral responsibility as Emmanuel's mother, and she failed in that duty. And that's why she is here. Lastly, these three charges that she has pled to today do not reflect the same course of conduct. The child abuse resulting in great bodily injury to 7-month-old Emmanuel reflects her conduct in the days and weeks prior to Emmanuel's death. The manslaughter charge reflects her conduct in the moments leading up to his death. And the accessory charge reflects her conduct after Emmanuel's death, when once more, rather than act like a mother, she chose to play the victim. With that, I'll submit.
Thank you, counsel. Any victim impact statements?
Nothing further.
All right. And have the people complied with parties?
Yes.
Mr. Moore, is there any statements the defense would like to make?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right.
This is almost done.
The court, having consider the facts known to the court, will abide by the parties agreed upon.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. There should have been no plea deal. She should have gotten the same shit that Jake got, and it still wasn't enough. I don't understand. Yeah, there's no closure. No closure whatsoever. Like, however you feel about the Koberger case, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. There's no closure to these cases when we get no answers. Just like with Rex Heuermann. Like, there's so much more out there. I know there is. And he didn't have to tell us nothing. He just walked away. He pled guilty and he walked away. And we were just left there like, okay, now what? The kids over at Nos. Yeah, Lily and Jack. I don't know too much I know of them, but I don't know what's going on in that case. I know that it's been going on for a long time. Lily and Jack, yeah, they never found them, right? Was he arrested? He always gave me weird vibes. It's worse than BK, in my opinion. Those families gave their body. Yeah.
Agreement. So as to count 4, the court will sentence the defendant to
Sad.
6 years in prison, followed by 5 years on the great bodily injury violation. As to count 5, the court will sentence the defendant to 1 year of prison. And then finally, as to count 6, the court will sentence the defendant to 1/3 the midterm, which is 8 months. Let me back up a little bit. As to count 5, the sentence of 1 year is also the legally required 1/3 the midterm sentence. This will result in a total sentence of 12 years and 8 months. All of the counts will be running consecutively. As far as credit time served, it looks like the parties here have agreed on 323 days, which comprises of 323 days of total credit, which comprises of 281 days of actual time, as well as 42 days of good time credit. Is that correct?
That is correct, as calculated by the court's probation department.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes. All right, so then the court will award credit time served in that amount. Let me just revise briefly. The sentence on count 4 is the upper term sentence as agreed upon by the parties. All right, so Ms. Haro, as I explained to you earlier, under the terms of the plea agreement and your conviction, you will not be able to possess or own any firearms or ammunition or any paraphernalia related to that. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the record should reflect as well as a certification from the probation department showing the firearms on safety.
Thank you. And I do see that in the file, and I signed off on that as well. All right. Counsel, do you, as far as fines and fees, do the parties waive reading of the fines and fees?
Yes, Your Honor, and I've asked for a finding under Duenas that Ms. Haro is currently illegitimate due to her current status and waiving
Why is she hiding?
or suspending as many of the fines and fees as possible.
Any objections to that from the people?
None.
All right, in light of the financial condition of the defendant, the court will waive whatever fines and fees that the court has the authority to do so. As for the fines and fees that the court does not have the ability to do so, I'll go ahead and impose that. Mr. Moore, do you waive reading of that?
I did.
Okay.
I've also advised Ms. Haro of the fact that there
She should be
is a
embarrassed.
determined amount for the restitution, which is required by law, and that she has a right to a hearing if there is any restitution ordered ultimately by this court.
All right, thank you for that. So the court will impose restitution in an amount to be determined. If there's any issues with that, then the court will retain jurisdiction in order to adjudicate that. All right, and then is there a motion by the people regarding the remaining counts?
Move to dismiss the remaining counts.
Yeah.
All right, the court will dismiss the remaining count in the interest of justice on motion by the people. Anything further from either side?
No, Your Honor.
No.
All right, thank you all.
Alrighty. Well, that was that. So, let me see here. And Sharon, yeah, maybe. I mean, she might not have. I mean, she looked all messed up too. Maybe I think he was beating the crap out of her, but let me make sure. Okay, there's all that. And I don't know if Junior's still in here. I know he said he had a hard time watching these trials, and I should have put my trigger warning up too. I forgot. I always forget. One thing, don't forget to go watch this trailer, y'all. You're going to want to see this. I promise you everything. You're going to want to see this. And as for next week, I'm coming back with Shonda's 2 new hearings. Hopefully we can get through both of them because we are starting a new trial. I want to do this trial has okay, so Sharon, that is called so that is from a docuseries called Fox Hollow Farms. There were over 10,000 bone fragments and skeletal remains found on that property. It's about herb. Yeah, Fox Hollow Farms. Not Green Hollow, but Fox Hollow. It's a different one. Yep, that one. But it's a really good docuseries. Yes. But so we're going to start a new trial, and it's one that's stuck with me for a really long time, years. And I'm so glad I have my own channel now because I could talk about all the things that I've been wanting to talk about forever. And this trial is going to be the McNabb Bell trial. And it is going to be a couple tried together. I believe this was in 2019, if I'm correct. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the baby was like 14 days old, 15 days old, something like that. You're not going to see much of the baby at all, but it's hard. It's hard. But there's a lot of bullshit in this trial. So I think it's worth to go over. My only problem is I started rewatching it to refresh myself on it. And I forget how hard it is to hear the interrogations. And I mean, this trial is semi-long. So yeah, 14 days. This baby barely lived. And I'm gonna see if I can boost the volume any, or at least try to get subtitles in there. The problem with subtitles and CapCut is that it takes so much, and then I have to go through everything and make sure it's spelled right. I might not do that. We might just deal with what they give us and we'll figure it out. Um, but yeah, we're gonna do that trial and we're gonna watch the whole thing. We're not just gonna watch a little bit and then the sentencing like we did with this last trial or with this trial. We're gonna watch the whole thing. So this one's gonna have our attention for a little while. And of course, I'm gonna do other cases while we're watching it in between, like I've been doing. But closed captionings are usually pretty drunk. Bye, Mustang. Thank you. But I'm getting out of here too. I hope everybody has a great week. And I think that was all I had to tell you. I will see you guys next week. Bye. I hope everybody has a great night. Bye.
So long for now and goodbye. We'll see you later.